Happy Tarot Tuesday, everyone. I am back for another installment of Tarot Tuesday. And I will go ahead and just say that we are doing this as a reflection exercise, not for divinatory purposes. I do not use the tarot to tell future. I use the tarot to as a tool of self-reflection, as they are visual representations of the human archetype, and it's something that I use pretty regularly when I am trying to examine pieces and aspects of my life. And so I just want to make that clear. There's no future telling today. But we are asking a question, a specific question with this pool. And that question is, what needs to be brought into my awareness right now? And we got a really, really interesting pool. I'm going to ask you not to be freaked out by this first card. A lot of people are, but I'm going to show it to you in just a second. And I also want to point out, right, that tarot is not a religious practice. You can be any religion, any background, and practice tarot. So we're not summoning the devil. There's none of that going on. So with that, I will get started. Our first card that we pulled for our question that we are reflecting on, what needs to be brought to my awareness right now, is actually the Death card. And I'll let you kind of take a closer look at that. And so, right, it looks scary. It's a skeleton in black armor riding on a horse. There's kind of a dead person at his feet and a child, and people sort of waiting to interact with death as he's carrying this black flag. And for people that are somewhat familiar with the tarot, a lot of times death can represent transformation. A more precise sort of interpretation of this card, when you kind of do a little bit of research with it, it actually comes down to the moment not of transformation, but of accepting that you have not been living in your true reality, and removing the mask, removing that societal, outward ego mask that you've been wearing, and setting it down and choosing to step into the truth. And that's when transformation happens. So it's kind of like that explosion that ignites transformation. That is what this Death card symbolizes. And so, some way to kind of think about this for our question of what needs to be brought into my awareness right now, to me, resonates with this idea of, what do you need to let go of? What masks are you holding on to? What constructs is your ego trying to, entrap you with staying in sort of certain boxes and not allowing you to fully explore or express your creativity or live in your freedom? So, for me, pulling this Death card right out the gate is this, permission and this invitation, right, to explore, what is it time to release? What is it time to let go of? What mask do I need to set aside so that I can live in my true greatness? This is a big question. This is a really big question. It's not something to be taken lightly. And because, again, it's associated with death, and death is such a frightening concept for a lot of people, it's also calls into question and an invitation, right, to think about that, to sit with your mortality for a minute and think about, if my time is finite, if it is limited, if I do not have infinite time to do whatever I want, I only have this certain amount of time on this earth, in this plane, in this existence. How do I want to spend that time? What does that life look like for me? And so, again, another really big question that you can start to think about. And, these, again, are just invitations. They don't have to be heavy, but a lot of times these are not things that people spend, any sort of time thinking about. And so I invite you to do that. The next card that we pulled, it's funny, I've actually pulled her 3 times in the last 2 weeks, so I'm paying particular attention to this card, but it's the Justice card. And everyone's super familiar with with kind of our picture of justice, right? With her blindfold on and, you know, holding these scales that are in this card. But the thing that's really cool about the Justice card in the Rider-Waite deck is that she has no blindfold on. And so again, it's very almost similar to death, of making this conscious decision to not deny yourself the truth, to actively choose to embrace and understand the reality of your decisions, your life, your outcomes, and then extend that outward and extend that also to your relationships that you're having with other people. So justice really is sort of this reminder that it is like an internal decision process that comes from within, that you can make just and right and true decisions. And so, you know, to me, a lot of times it's, you know, the questions I ask myself when I'm thinking about, is there something that needs to be brought into my awareness right now? And then I get the Justice card, is like, am I being honest with myself? What false narratives am I feeding to myself right now? You know, and there's also this idea of, am I being honest in my communications with other people? Am I being fair, just, true, kind of pure in all of my relations and communications with other people? Is there other relationships that I need to examine? And this doesn't have to be sinister, right? Like, you know, sometimes you can grow out of things or grow out of situations, and you won't want to have as big of a commitment, let's say, to a project or a committee or, you know, an engagement that you once did, but you haven't communicated that. And so you're kind of been giving this group or this person, you know, 40% of your energy when they're used to getting 100% of you. And that's not fair, right? That's not fair to you. That's not fair to them. And so the fair, just thing to do is to have that open conversation and say, hey, my heart's not in this anymore, you know, but let me see if I can connect you with a few people that can take over for this. So again, it doesn't have to be sinister, but it's really this reckoning of what is the most just way that I can deal with both internal and external situations, relationships in my life. The last card we got was a reversed pool, and it is the Knight of Pentacles, and I'll show that to you upright first. I'm getting a little glare there. And then we actually got it upside down. And you know, the Knight of Pentacles, their knights are kind of known for their action, but something about the Knight, particularly of Pentacles, is, you know, he's very sturdy. He's planted on this horse and has kind of this firm foundation. And this is something that I resonate with, that I'm guilty of all the time, that I would encourage you to think about when we're talking about awareness, is I can get really caught up in technical skill level, in like capabilities and proving my worth, that sometimes I forget or don't consider sort of the inner magic and spontaneity that can come from just allowing yourself to be present in the moment and appreciate what it is that you're doing and what you have and what you're creating. And so it's this idea with the Knight of Pentacles reversed that, you know, maybe he's sort of lost his way of what drives him, what makes him impassioned, or what, you know, causes him to move forward. You know, like, knights are kind of, again, like I said, all about action. And so if you remove adventure from them, if you remove sort of that quest side from them, they can get really withdrawn and depressed. And so I think what it brings up for me too in this question of, you know, what needs to be brought into my awareness right now is, why are you going on these adventures? Why are you going on these quests? Is it because you have genuine curiosity and you want truly to explore or understand or expand or grow in some way? Or are you not content inside and you keep trying to find all of these external fillers to fulfill you, to fill those little holes that you have? And there's no adventure that can do that. There's no adventure that can replace that hard work of doing the soul work. So I think that's a good thing to think about. So again, just to recap really quickly, our reflection question for today was, what is something that needs to be brought into my awareness? And we did pull the death card, which asks us to think about, what do we need to let go of? What masks do we need to remove and set aside so that we can move into our full freedom of expression and experience and true reality? We also pulled the Justice card, which to me brings to mind the awareness of, are you being true, just, honest, and fair with yourself, with other relationships and circumstances in your life? And then lastly, we pulled the reverse Knight of Pentacles. And for that, I think I would bring up that awareness question again of, what is your purpose for going on these adventures, or maybe these sort of new endeavors or things that you're saying yes to? Why are you saying yes to them? Why are you on this quest? You know, is it truly something that fulfills you, or are you trying to distract yourself? Are you trying to look for something external to heal what is broken inside, when you need to be doing that inside work all along? So kind of some deep questions this time came up, and that's okay, that'll happen. And I think it's worth exploring and sitting with. And if you have any questions, if you'd like to go over any of the cards, if you're interested in a reading, I'm always available. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do these intuitively. So again, I don't read tarot for divination purposes. I do it for self-reflection and for practicing intuition. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you have a really magical rest of the week.